This episode of Sports Addict Live brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. With over 40 years experience, First Round Collectibles offers the widest variety of quality Beckett-graded sports cards anywhere. Representing 10 major sports, First Round has all your favorite players from all your favorite teams at great prices. We are proud of our knowledgeable staff and top-rated customer service, and our reviews vouch for our integrity. Visit us today at firstroundcollectibles.com and find your heroes. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins, can't relax. Original, I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever mind.
Welcome, Sports Addict Live. Thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday morning. A few hours away from kickoff. Wanted to get this out a little earlier than 11 a.m. EST. Was in Niagara Falls last night with the family. My wife has family visiting from Zimbabwe, and we're at Niagara Falls, and we're enjoying our time. And, of course, inevitably, my son hits his head, and we end up at the hospital. Everything is okay. He's doing great. He's still, up and about and running around and talking and screaming and playing drums on anything that moves. But threw a bit of a wrench in the Sports Addict Live plans, but that's okay. And as this podcast goes on, we'll be having more and more people co-host maybe one day. I mean, I'm only one man. I can only do so much. And this is why I would love a co-host, because I would love to know other people's opinion. You can get at me at Sport Addict Mark on X. X? I want to say Twitter with everything that's within me, but I'll say X. I'm trying my best. The kid's 1 year old, and we're at the hospital, and we were there for like 5 hours before a doctor saw us. And I thought that baby's got fast-tracked. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in La La Land in my own little self-indulgent, narcissistic world. Maybe that's the truth, but regardless, it's a new day. He's okay. I'm okay. We're okay. And we got football in 3 hours. So let's get to it. A couple things before we start talking about this week. And, Monday night, 2 Monday nights in a row, week 1 and week 2, both with season-ending injuries for stars. I would say superstars. I think Chubb's a superstar. We'll see how this Browns offense goes without him. But I don't know if there's another running back that I enjoy watching more than Chubb. I don't know. You got throughout the years LT, and as an Eagles fan, Brian Westbrook and LaShawn McCoy, and there's others that I'm forgetting. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch, and there's players that I gotta see this guy every Sunday. And for me, Chubb is that guy. I like Derrick Henry. I think his best years seem to be kind of behind him. And guys like Todd Gurley, but right now, and obviously Gurley's done, but I just think right now Nick Chubb is the most fun running back to watch in the league. And, a little PSA, first of all, gruesome injury, not fun to watch. The broadcast didn't show it on ESPN, but scrolling through Twitter, I found it by accident and only needed to see it once. People are saying it was Fitzpatrick's fault and dirty hit and all this stuff, and I honestly couldn't tell you because I just watched it once. I don't need to see that again. But just a little PSA, okay? And this drives me insane, and I feel like it really got bad with Damar Hamlin last year. When you gamble, it's a it's called gambling. When you place your bet, when you spend your money, you are taking a risk, okay? This is not like there's a hair in my burger and I want a refund or whatever. Most times they come out, they make you a fresh meal, maybe a little discount or whatever, but a really well-run place will just make you another meal and move on. Not the best comparison, understood. But listen, when you spend your money, you are taking a gamble. If the player gets hurt, you lost your gamble. I bet on a Chubb and Harris parlay, and then I did a Chubb touchdown just by himself. And I lost money Monday night, right? And that's the risk you take. And it started, what I've seen, maybe it started before, but from what I saw, I started on Twitter. It was called Twitter back then, so I can say that. When Damar Hamlin basically died on the field. And I go on Twitter, and I'm just trying to see what people are saying. I'm trying to get some updates, see what's going on. And all I'm seeing is people complaining and whining to FanDuel and DraftKings and all these sports books asking for their money back. And there's literally a guy on the field not moving, no heartbeat. And you got these losers on Twitter who are worried about their money. First of all, if you're that worried about your money being refunded, you shouldn't be gambling. If you need that, 20, 50, 100, whatever dollars that bad, you shouldn't be gambling. If you're betting $1,000, if you're betting some real change, then you do this for a living and you have money. If you're making $1,000 bet and you can't afford to lose $1,000, then you shouldn't be making the bet, right? That's just plain and simple. You got to be responsible. And the difference between last year, I knew FanDuel was going to refund that game last year when Damar Hamlin, when that whole situation happened, because the game didn't finish. I don't believe it got to the half. I can't remember, but that game didn't finish. It didn't even count in the schedule, right? And if memory serves me correct, they waited a few days to see what was going to happen. And when the game was officially canceled, they refunded their customers, which I believe was the right thing to do. In this situation, the game started, the game's going, the game's finishing, the game's going to be played, right? Tragedy, what happened with Nick Chubb, but there are more running backs, and the game's going to finish. And the fact that he got hurt doesn't mean that sportsbooks have to refund you. I just feel like I don't know, since gambling's gotten so mainstream, everybody, they don't understand, that's not how it works, man. Right? I remember, before this, just buying tickets and bringing them home, and you're not going to your local convenience store if you're from Canada and you deal with, Proline or whatever. You're not going to your local convenience store and complaining. You're not calling, Ontario Lottery, whatever, OLG. You're not, you lost. It's done. And listen, companies like DraftKings, I believe PointsBet as well, Bet365, I can't remember what they did, but different companies, did refund their customers on Monday night. And that's fine. That's your business. If that's what you want to do, then do it. Like, that's great. I work mostly with FanDuel, and they didn't refund me. And it obviously, I would have been like, okay, that's cool. But I wasn't expecting it. And you go on Twitter, and instantly, this guy's season is over. And your very first reaction is to tweet FanDuel to ask them for a refund. It just drives me crazy, man. If you can't afford to lose $25 on a Nick Chubb touchdown, then you shouldn't be gambling. Plain and simple. But got that off my chest. Thank you for listening. All right. Moving on. A couple things before we get into this week's games. I said last week that basically 2 weeks ago at this point, that if the Chiefs or Bengals went down 0-2, I wouldn't be concerned about it. I think the Burrow injury clearly changes that. The offensive line still not looking good. Doesn't matter what they throw at it. It's not looking good. The defense has been questionable for sure. And Joe Burrow just doesn't look right. And his stats were fine. Last week they were good. He played pretty well, all things considered last week. But I think this is different. And they're playing a Rams team tomorrow night that this Rams team, generally speaking, everybody picked this Rams team to be borderline awful this year. Nobody saw them, and it's only 2 games. But listen, man, Matt Stafford looks like himself. The defense has been playing okay. And the offense, that Nakua kid, and I believe that's how you pronounce his name, and Tutu Atwell, who I just picked up on my fantasy wire, so please play well tomorrow. That'd be great. But this Rams team looks really good. And I guess we all forgot that Sean McVay actually is a really good coach. And I think the Bengals are in trouble tomorrow night, quite frankly. I really do. And I think, they're favored by 2.5 at home. That makes sense. I think the Rams will win this game tomorrow. I think their defense is a problem. And if this Rams team continues to produce on offense like they have been, the Bengals could find themselves down 0-3, which, if you're in the NFC, maybe less of an issue. But in this AFC, I think if we could be talking about this team missing the playoffs, which is unfortunate. When the Bengals play well the last couple years, the league's just better. And we'll see what happens down the stretch. But I do think that the fact that Joe Burrow, there's been some reporting out there that this injury could be lingering all year, which is obviously a problem. They don't have, Boyd and Higgins and obviously Jamar Chase, they have the pieces on the outside. But that running game has been a problem. Mixon's just seems like not the same guy. And if they can't establish the run, then an injured Joe Burrow's not going to save you. Bottom line. Really interesting to see how that proceeds moving forward. And their opponent last week, the Ravens, I picked them to win the division at the beginning of the year, and I don't think Beckham's playing today. We'll see how that what that does. But this offense looks good, and Lamar is looking the best that we've seen in a while. And that defense, lots of injuries on that defense, and they're holding up really well. And I like what I see from this Ravens team, and I'm excited to see moving forward. They play the Colts today. Minus 8.5-point favorites, and Minshew's in for the Colts. We'll see kind of what happens with that. I think Minshew is probably the best backup quarterback in the league, and being familiar with Shane Steichen from his time on the Eagles last year, I'm not overly concerned about the Colts. I just don't think they have the manpower to keep up with the Ravens in this game today. The Bears. So, lots of drama in Bears land last week. Lots of drama. And, first of all, young quarterback saying some things he shouldn't say. We've all been there. I said some things I shouldn't have said, I don't know, hour and a half ago. So, it happens. For both the Bears and the Panthers, and we could probably go around the league and add a few more to that list. For the Panthers, less so because Young is like a brand new project. However, I believe that the Bears and the Panthers have done these two young quarterbacks a massive disservice by what they've surrounded him with. Fields has not looked good. I think he's won, 5 games in his first 2 seasons plus 2 weeks. Not look good. But you're not setting this guy up for success in any way. Minus 12.5-point favorites to the Chiefs today. And that spread's a bit too big for my blood. I'm not taking anything there. But how do you expect these young quarterbacks to grow, to develop when you put these pieces around them? And listen, I'm sorry, Chase Claypool, he's a good Canadian kid. Proud. He's not getting the job done. DJ Moore, I like the guy. He's a good player, but you're just doing this kid a massive disservice by running him out there with these pieces around him. And then you have the Panthers who, besides Miles Sanders, you're throwing the ball to Thielen, who, terrific player, great career. He's past it now. And when you have a guy like Young, who is young, first year, and you're having Dalton go out there today, you're just doing these kids massive disservice. And I'm a little worried for his career. And I know that sounds super, it's really early, 2 weeks in, but this Panthers team, they have nobody, and you're not going to see what this guy is until you put some pieces around him. It's that simple. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. He needs players. And it sucks watching this guy go out and literally have nobody to throw the ball to. That Packers-Falcons game was a lot of fun last week. And this Bijan Robinson kid, man. I think everyone's seen it by now, that alternate angle, just watching him, it's insane. And this Falcons team, if Ritter can steadily improve week after week, this Falcons team, I think, can be something to be messed with. Maybe not, winning the conference, going to the Super Bowl yet, but they got something good cooking. And I'm interested to see as the season goes on what we see out of Ritter. But when you got a running game like they do, and they're playing the Lions today, that's going to be a really fun game. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And their opponent last week with the Packers, this week playing the Saints. This Packers team, I love watching this team. they're a lot of fun. When you have this quarterback, that was the biggest question the whole summer, right? Is nobody knows anything about Love. Is he good? Is he not good? We have no idea. Turns out, when you sit behind Rodgers for 4 years, you learn a thing or two, and the kid looks great. And if they can continue to establish the running game, and if that defense can play like the first-round draft picks that they are, this team, it's phenomenal. I picked them to win the division at the beginning of the year, and I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Love. He's fun to watch. He's a kid making some mistakes, and you see this in sports, especially like hockey and baseball, all the time, where these young kids sit in the minors for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years before they get a sniff of the big leagues. And I know it's a bit different because he was like the backup quarterback, but not playing right away, taking their time with him, being behind Rodgers, it's proven absolute dividends, and I'm really excited to see what that looks like for him moving forward. The Bills and the Commanders today, this is a really fun game. There's a bunch of 1 o'clock games, and I only got 3 screens, so I gotta see which games I want to watch here. But this Bills and Commanders game, last week was a get-right game for the Bills. They had to get right against the Raiders. The Raiders came back down to earth. And this, Josh Allen played, very well. Still, just risking his body in ways that, we don't need. We don't need him to be a hero. He's a terrific talent, and what we've talked about this before, what you love about him is what you hate about him, and you're going to get the good with the bad. You just are with this guy. But they got right, and today I'm really interested to see what happens today. They're playing the Commanders in Washington, and shout out, owner of First Round Collectibles is getting a private treatment it's a weird way to say it, but you know what I mean. He's getting a royalty treatment in Washington today. I can't tell you why. It's top secret information. But he's at the game today, and I think I don't know. This Commanders team, I really, as I've said a bunch of times already about teams today, I really like watching this team. I think this team, their defense is good. With Chase Young out there, they're very good. This offense is frisky, man. They got really good pieces around Howell, and he's looking good. And I know it's the Broncos, but last week's game, and that defense hasn't played well over in Denver so far this year. But to be losing 21-3, to come out and come back and win that game, the Russell Wilson Hail Mary at the end notwithstanding, I think this team could be a problem for Buffalo. I do. And I think that they played a Raiders team last week. I know they have Epps, and I know it's blah, 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 but Max Crosby is really the only guy that I'm scared of on that defense. And you're in Washington, who is revived. They're selling out. They're loving it down there. And I think this defense is going to cause problems for the Bills. And I really do think that Washington, they're heavy underdogs. I'm going to look this up here, but I know that they're 6.5 points. Buffalo is 6.5 point underdogs to the the Bills are 6.5-point favorites to the Commanders. And I just wanted to see on the money line, like the Commanders are plus 215 dogs. Bills minus 255. And I don't know. This game smells to me for Buffalo, and we'll see kind of how they bounce back. Or not bounce back, but keep the ball rolling after bouncing back last week. All right. So I want to talk about the Seahawks and the Lions game last week. I'm going to kind of skip past that. I think the Seahawks are a good team. I think they got their faces kicked in against the Rams. They woke up in week 2. They forgot that the season started, and that wasn't their preseason game. In week 2, they came out. And those Seahawks-Lions games, man, those are fun to watch. Don't disappoint. I think that it proved that the Seahawks are a team on the rise. They're playing the Panthers today, and they win this game today, which they should pretty easily, I would think. And they're 2-1, and the season's fine. The Lions, on the other hand, proved that this defense still has issues. As good as they looked against the Chiefs, this is going to be interesting to see how this defense progresses. Another PSA. All right, I had my PSA about Nick Chubb and gambling and stop whining when a player gets hurt and just take the L like a man and stop being a loser about it. The Chargers. This is another PSA. Do not. Okay, you work hard for your money. You work hard. Whether you're behind a desk, whether you're out there on a construction site or a field, or you're driving around, whatever you're doing, you work hard. You pour your body and your mind into your money to provide for yourself, to provide for your family, to build a future. Do not waste your hard-earned money under any circumstances on the Chargers. The Chargers to win, the Chargers to lose, doesn't matter. Don't care. If they're playing the Bears, don't bet on it. If they're playing the Chiefs, don't bet on it. Don't bet on the Chargers in any circumstance. This team drives me crazy. And last year, when they were up 27-0 to the Jags, I instantly bet the Jags to win the money line. I knew it. The Chargers are going to Charger. Doesn't matter. We talked about this with my buddy Tom Brown a couple days ago. Doesn't matter if you have Kellen Moore. Doesn't matter if you have Justin Herbert. Doesn't matter who you have. The Chargers are the most unreliable team. Whether you're rooting on them to win or to lose, they will do the opposite of whatever you want. Do not waste your hard-earned fun money on the Chargers. All right. Today's games. Starting soon. The countdown's on. I'm interested to see with the Dolphins and the Broncos. I don't. The only thing that concerns me about this about this game from the Dolphins side is Tua, like, Waddle is out, which is why I had to get Tutu Atwell on my fantasy because I have Waddle, and he's out. And that means you basically have Tyreek Hill, right? Now you do have Mostert and the running game, who I also have, and I think they'll be fine. But I'm interested to see, without Waddle on the sidelines, they don't have to worry about that, hillless side of the field. I'm interested to see kind of how that affects Tua and his decision-making and how the offense runs in Miami. But this Broncos team, The defense has not looked good all year. This was the focus of like last season, right? And the season before they got Wilson, was this Broncos defense is phenomenal, and if they just get a quarterback, they'll be okay. And the defense is not looking at all like it has the last couple of years, and they've lost some players to trades and to free agency and whatnot. But this is still a talented defense that's not playing well. And, I mean, Russell Wilson, listen, I'm not a professional, like, football, writer or whatever, okay? I watch the games just like you guys. People are saying that Russell Wilson looks better, that there's things that they see. I don't know. I see the same guy. I don't, like, guys like Love and, Stroud and Young and Fields, like these young quarterbacks, you just want to see if they're good. You're not necessarily hoping for a Super Bowl this year. You just want to know when week 18 is over, you want to know, do we have the guy or do we not have the guy? Russell Wilson doesn't have that kind of time. The guy's in his mid-30s. He's got a crazy contract. Like, they don't have this time. They need to know, like, now, can Wilson play? They can't waste another year of a 33, 34-year-old. Well, he got better at the end of the year. Nah, like, Father Time is, ticking. They got to figure it out. I'm not going to bet this game as far as the spread goes, but I think the Dolphins win this game pretty handily. A couple other games to quickly get to. The Pats and the Jets. The Jets, for the Jets defense, it's a bounce back game. For the Pats offense, it's a bounce back game. Offense in New England not looking smooth. Really interested to see how that goes. The Cowboys and the Cardinals. Only thing I really have to say about this game is the Dallas offense hasn't really had to be great yet. They haven't had to win a game. This defense is so dominating, and I know Diggs is out for the year, which obviously is not good, but you still got Parsons, sitting back there. And I'm interested to see what a game looks like when the Dallas offense has to go win it. And this Cardinals game might not be that game, but I'm just interested to see it. And you got the game on Monday night. You got the Eagles. You got the Bucks. And, the main thing that we're looking for from that game is just the offense from the Eagles, right? Is the defense is looking good. The offense, they figured it out halfway through the game last week. Let's run the ball down their throats, and they did it, and it looked just like we saw it last year. That passing game, still struggling, not looking good at all. Hurts has had two of the worst games in like deep dive analytics of his career. And you play, Bill Belichick the first week. And then you play Brian Flores last week. And now you're playing Todd Bowles this week. Three very good defensive-minded coaches. And I'm interested to see. And Mayfield. Like, the guy's looking really good right now. And everybody writing the postmortem for the Bucks before the season even started. And we forgot, Evans and Godwin, pretty good. And the defense still has players, right? And obviously, I say pretty good, facetiously. They're very good. And the thing that concerns me, and we'll get to this with my picks for the day, the thing that concerns me about this game for the Eagles is that middle of the field is still very concerning. And with Maddox being out for the year, I'm concerned about the middle of the field, and I do feel like Evans and Godwin will be able to move the ball. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm hopeful that they'll win, but you know what? We're going to do picks now. I'll deep dive a little further in that game, but let's get to our picks. We'll take a small break and get to the picks for the day.
All I hear, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah, I'ma let him. All I hear, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head, yeah, I'ma let him.
All right. You know how this works. Picks against the spread only. I got a few over-unders that I like today as well. Okay, so last week, tough week for me against the spread. I had it. Let me just look up what I had. So I picked Detroit, didn't hit. Giants didn't hit. Patriots didn't hit. The Saints pushed, and the Steelers hit. So I am 3-5-1. If you want to count the push as a loss, I'm ignoring you, and I'm 3-5-1. We'll count the push. Old school hockey style, a good old fashioned tie. Heading into week 3, bounce back week. I feel it in my bones, and I'm getting risky off the start in honor of the owner of First Round Collectibles being at the Bills and Commanders game. I pick a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, and then the primetime games. And I'm taking, so the owner of First Round is at the Bills-Washington game in Washington. And I'm picking the Commanders. He's a Bills fan. He might not like me for saying this, but I'm picking the Commanders plus 6.5. I think that defense is better than people think. And I think that this Bills offense, to me, still needs to prove themselves, and I'm picking Washington plus 6.5. 4 o'clock game, Panthers at Seahawks. Seahawks -5. And I just don't think, I know that the Seahawks defense isn't great. I just don't think the Panthers have the horses to keep up with this team. The defense is okay. I don't think they have the horses to keep up. And so Dalton is fine. Like the guy, I don't think it makes a difference in this case. I'm picking the Seahawks -5. Sunday Night Football, Steelers, Raiders. Now, as I was doing a little last-minute prep for the show this morning, I started my prep, and the Steelers were plus 2.5 dogs in Las Vegas. And I didn't understand that line. I guess it's the offense that is causing concerns for the Steelers, for Vegas, and the betting community. But by the time I was done my prep, that line bumped up to +3. And so if you're giving me 3 against this Raiders team, I'm taking it. I like the Steelers defense better than the Raiders defense. And quite frankly, I know they have Devontae Adams. I know they have Garoppolo. I know they have Josh Jacobs. I know all that. I still trust the Steelers offense more. So Steelers +3. Monday Night Football, 2 games, double dip. Eagles at Bucks and Rams at Bengals. I'm an Eagles fan. If you've been listening to me, you know this, and I hate doing this. And it's a huge. It's conflicting for sure. But I'm picking the Bucks here +4.5. I just think, like, Mayfield's looking competent right now. He's looking pretty good. You have Godwin, you have Evans, and like I said earlier, that like middle of the field for the middle of the field for the Eagles defense is concerning, And I think Bucks plus 4.5 is the move here. I think that the Eagles offense looks good tomorrow. I think that they start passing the ball better. I think they run the ball well. But the middle of the field is concerning on the defensive side. I pick Bucks plus 4.5. Rams and Bengals, I'm picking the Rams here. It's plus 2.5. I don't love only having a 2.5 point wiggle room here, but I'm picking them, and I just think, I don't know. I just think that they get the job done against the Bengals tomorrow. We talked about that game at the beginning of the show. Won't get too deeper into that. Now, my teasers, I got a 1 o'clock teaser. Miami is -6 against the Broncos. I'm teasing that right down to 0. Jets plus 2.5. I'm teasing that up to 8.5. I know that their offense is not doing really well with Zach Wilson back there, but I do think that this defense has a bounce back week, and I don't trust the Patriots offense either. So I'm taking the Jets to plus 8.5, and Saints plus 1.5 against the Packers. I do think the Packers win this game, but I don't think it's by a lot. So I'm bumping that up to plus 7.5. So Miami at 0, Jets up to 8.5, and Saints to 7.5. In the 4 o'clock window, I normally do a 4 o'clock tease. There's only 3 games, and I know that, the Chiefs are playing the Bears, and I know that the Cowboys are playing the Cardinals. I still don't like that 12.5 spread. So I'm not even going to touch these games even to tease them. So I got Seahawks. They're at -5 against the Panthers. I'm teasing that to plus 1. And the Sunday night game, Steelers, they're plus 3 against the Raiders. I don't think, if they do lose this game, I don't think it's by more than a touchdown for sure. So I'm teasing that up to plus 9. Seahawks plus 1, Steelers plus 9. And then a little Monday night tease. Who doesn't like a Monday night tease? Eagles -4.5, teasing that to plus 2.5. I do think they win the game. And Rams plus 2.5, teasing that up to plus 8.5. A couple over-unders to finish off this show. Seahawks, Carolina, over 42.5. I like the over there, 42.5. Buffalo, Washington, over 43. Seems low. I mean, both of these teams have been scoring in the first 2 games. At least last week, they were both scoring. I'm taking the over 43. And Atlanta, Detroit, over-unders 46.5. And both of these teams have been able to put up points the last couple of weeks. So I am taking the over on 46.5. So, Commanders plus 6.5, Seahawks -5, Raiders plus 3, Bucks plus 4.5. Sorry, Steelers plus 3, Bucks plus 4.5, Rams plus 2.5. 1 o'clock tease, Miami at 0, Jets at plus 8.5, Saints at plus 7.5. Afternoon and evening tease, Seahawks to plus 1, Steelers to plus 9, and Monday Night Football plus 2.5, Eagles, Rams plus 8.5. Over 42.5 for the Seahawks and Panthers, over 43 for Buffalo and Washington, and over 46.5 for Atlanta and Detroit. Okay. Thank you once again so much for joining me. Bets, by the way, brought to you by First Round Collectibles, FirstRoundCollectibles.com. Find your heroes. That's it for me today. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the games. Have a great day. We will see you soon. Next couple days. Maybe I'll do an episode tonight. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But until then, you can find me at SportAddictMark on Twitter. And of course, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until then, Sports Addict Live. Get hooked. Thanks for listening.